Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Frieren Season 1, Episode 9. This is one of the highlights of my week, and I haven't even watched it yet. I'm just happy to be starting out the intro of this video because that means I'm about to watch Frieren.
Right?
Frieren the Slayer.
Frieren the Slayer.
Look, Aura the Guillotine is a pretty cool title,
yes,
a name.
I agree with that. It's pretty cool, but...
like Ben the Guillotine. That like has its own weight to it. But hearing Frieren the Slayer in the context of how many demons she has slaughtered is on a whole different level.
I gotta say there's something fun, comedic, badass about giving a villain that you're about to fight, your protagonist is about to fight, a kind of nickname or a name plus a descriptor of them. But then to give your main character also something that holds weight like that when they're about to go into battle against the foe. I love that idea. That is so fun.
I mean, my guess, if I have to make one, is that Frieren's just going to wipe the floor with Aura and just like, you know, make her into nothing. Make her non-existent. That's my guess, right?
Right. We know that Lugnar is still alive. And that Fern's blast didn't, of like a changed Zoltrak, didn't kill him.
Yeah.
So they're going to be following Stark and Fern. So that's
its own fight. Its
own thing. We don't know. We don't know.
I imagine that they're going to defeat them because it was like Frieren say so, you know? If Frieren suggested it, I trust it. Yeah. That's where I'm at. Oh my god, I'm so excited. That shot last episode with the moon. Oh my god.
And we get it with Fern, and Lugnar's like, this looks so similar. This magic feels like someone else's. Who taught you that spell?
Oh my god. Okay, ready? Ready? Yes. Sweet. Oh my god, look at her. Dumbass. Humanity's analysis. Oh my god!
The timing of our arrival here.
One of the geniuses I despise. Gonna be okay? Gets up immediately. Good move to fall back then. Ah, recognition.
We'll have to make it up to her. The like time period. The same enemy.
7 stages of destruction.
But she doesn't have her same team of heroes.
Oh my god.
80 years.
Look at her scales.
These soldiers are like controlled by magic. Is that her magic that she's spent all this time perfecting? More puppets than before.
See the necklace around it? All of them are wearing their own like charms. I wonder if that's the key to it.
No, they're like the suits of armor of people she killed. One of them must be the sun.
Oh, fuck. You're right. The scales of obedience, Anna. Whoa. Whoa.
Until the bodies have all withered to dust. They judge fairly.
Oh. So does Aura have to make the conscious decision to place somebody on the scale?
His son.
Whew. Whoa.
Dispelled the magic. Are we gonna underestimate Frieren? A regard for them, maybe.
Wow. Brat. God, I love the animation of him just putting his jacket on.
The movement, him just putting the jacket on.
Like a shadow. Is that the one that Frieren recognized?
Yeah, I think the son had the same one.
How they're tracking. So fluid. Oh, shit!
Realization was too late.
Oh!
Oh, stop. An axe.
Axe versus axe? My master's technique.
Probably learned from watching him 80 years ago.
You have no idea. He likes to talk.
Take advantage of it.
God, I fucking love you.
Curious.
Proud and arrogant. Oh, wow. Quicker draw. What?
I can't believe during all that time that we find Stark like this.
Oh my god! I'm having so much fun. Look at the way that she's walking!
The confidence.
Oh! It's like a one-shot! Oh my god! Woo! Frieren the Slayer.
Wait for her to exhaust her mana.
Good fucking luck, loser.
Frieren identified him as arrogant.
God.
She knows what she's up against.
Every time she fires it, the hair is going in a different direction, too. I love this music!
These fights aren't ending as quickly as they thought they would.
Woo! Oh! No. Whoa, oh my god. What a shot. Oh my god. Woo! The choreography! Oh my...
Switching to all these different weapons and different styles. So it's like he's indirectly fighting his master right now.
Woo! But who fucking scared his master?
Exactly. All she's doing is imitating him.
Sidebar, I love her with all of my heart.
Pigtails, pink hair,
oh!
giant weapon. Yeah, 100%.
Come on, Stark. God!
Whoever's still standing at the end.
It's just like Frieren in her own way. Oh, this music! Oh my god. That's such a cool line.
I know. It's like a fireworks show.
Oh! Oh!
Wow.
Oh my god.
Woo! Wow,
Fucking
that is a cool shot.
Loser.
The moon.
I'm so mad, but I'm so happy. Okay, that was Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 9. This is my favorite.
I think that it's pretty clear that we love this show.
It's such a joy, man. It's not just one thing, right? Like it's my favorite of everything. I love fantasy. I love lore. I love detail. I love animation. I love choreography. I love score. I love character design. And this is everything operating at its highest degree. There's detail enough, like, I'm pretty certain that the same, necklace that Stark had given to Fern from the Lord, or from Graf, was identical to one of the ones that the soldiers were wearing, which is a great detail that goes and coincides with what Frieren was saying about noticing some of those suits of armor. I absolutely adore that because it's not like shoved down our throats or anything like that.
It doesn't even have to be his son. It could be, we learned that we've been basically fighting Aura for, 80 years ago is when Frieren fought Aura last time, and that was back when Graf's grandfather was ruling. So there could be any number of his maybe family members. His lineage could have become one of these puppets.
Yeah. One of my favorite things in the episode as a whole is very early on through Frieren and through Aura, we're given the theme of the episode, might I say, of demon magic versus human magic, or just demons versus humans in general, and what they're capable of. And it seems like they're capable of like everything in terms of power, whether it's the power and ability of magic in itself, or power and ability of how quick they're able to adapt and fluid they're able to adapt, in terms of Linny, right? I loved it because in their own ways they managed to defeat the opposition, and they were almost complete opposite ways to each other. One was more resilient and getting up and powerful, while the other was quicker and was able to do more. And oh my god, I'm in a weird place in terms of Linny though, because I'm pretty fucking sad to see her go. I feel like I could talk about this episode for an hour nonstop. I promise I'll stop to let you interject in a second. But Linny is so fucking cool. I want to, like, at some point in the discussion, I want to bring up some clips that we saw this episode of her choreography, but her entire fighting style was sweet. It looked like she was a little kid demon witnessing fighting in front of her, and utilized that technique amongst others with her ability to switch out weapons. It was so cool that all of her weapons seemed like so lightweight, but also the animation and the way that like the magic looked when changing weapons out and how they almost were suspended in air was so cool.
So, interjecting.
Sorry.
I said that as a joke. We obviously, the two of us, well, me specifically, love pink hair, pigtails, heavy weapon. Axe, scythe, giant master sword. It can be anything that's just like this weapon that is as big as the very cute pigtailed character. I love that. It's one of my favorite character design choices. Fire Emblem, whenever they do it, they're always one of my favorite characters. We have Hilda from Fire Emblem Three Houses, if anyone has played that game. So obviously I would also be and am also sad to see Linny go, even though Linny is a bad demon, not a bad person because not a person, but they're a bad egg and they are a villain and I should be like, yay, but I'm like, but the pigtails and the pink hair.
See,
and this cool fighting
that's
style.
the thing though. We're on different ends of that. Like what's the character's name? Hilda? Yeah. I'm not really a big fan. Like and like Hilda. It's just more of like what, not like in general,
is it
but
like an energy they bring forward?
It's in the same way that any other guy character who's ever wielded a big axe I have not resonated with and didn't particularly love until I met Stark. Like in my own interpretation of what you were saying, like Maki from like Soul Eater, right? Like I love her and she kind of fits into that loosely. But
cute girl, giant weapon, love it.
But she's the only one that I can think of. But there was something about Linny. Like, one of the best shots or the best moments this episode was, like, the choreography of Linny and her fighting style.
The spear choreography was one of my favorites. She jumps up in the air, she throws it down, and then as she's coming down, she kind of spirals around it because it's stuck in the ground. It was awesome.
So many different iterations of it. Was it before this? Yeah.
Of the spear?
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to find. It was after the sword.
Oh my god, look at this. It's beautiful.
Okay, I think you found it. She switches to a spear. Here, if whoever's editing this can find it. She switches to the spear. It goes down in the ground. She comes down and she basically like spins.
It's like pole dancing.
And then she changes it into something else. She changes it into a throwing dagger.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so cool. And it just scrapes him. She goes around him to catch it, it looks like. Oh my god. See, the thing is, though, none of this is my favorite Lenny moment. My favorite Lenny moment is, I believe it's coming up right here. Yeah, okay. She has like a massive heavy swing against Stark, and Stark dodges it barely, and then Lenny just halts the momentum of the fucking axe, twists it, and then just like slides it into Stark's eye and then pulls away. It was so cool. And like, this is the villain. There are so many Stark moments I loved too, but I love her. I love her fighting style. She's great.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's nothing more satisfying than what they do this episode in terms of the fact that Fern and Stark are not seen as threats. That we are having two humans fight two demons.
Yeah.
And the two humans are seen as not threats. We have this idea of, well, Aizen and the heroes from before and Frieren, and she's lived so long and amassed so much technique and the mana control, everything. She's amazing. She's this hero of legend. And the two humans are the ones that we're focusing on in their fights in this episode. This idea of arrogance for Lugnar, underestimating. We're getting a lot of this in the last couple episodes, even with characters or demons underestimating Frieren. Drat underestimates Frieren, and that was like his mistake. This idea of these demons being arrogant and underestimating, but also our characters being like not arrogant, but like confident, or even if they're not confident, they have this will. And we get this idea with Aura the Guillotine that a strong-willed person or character is like maybe her greatest weakness.
Yeah. I love the idea of Aura's ability, the scales of obedience. God, what a name. That gives me like that's something like out of Hunter x Hunter, I feel like. Just the scales of obedience. I could totally see that fitting into that world. But the idea of placing her own soul or
this
mana
risk that she's taking
on the scale at hand against whoever her target is, and whichever outweighs the other is granted the control, right? I asked during the episode if like this is all up to Aura herself being the person who deems the moment, decides on the moment of when those two manas are weighed. And like upon revisiting the slide, it says Aura places her own soul and that of her target. So that definitely gives me...
She chooses to do the risk.
Yeah, so I wonder, which was a great moment and amazing, of Frieren using her magic to dispel what was going on. That was fucking awesome. She dispelled the magic. What came after that was Aura's, like, I believe saying something along the lines of like her burning through mana. Like this would take...
This was not the maybe your smarter choice.
Yeah.
Here. And the smarter choice would have been how Frieren acted 80 years ago, which is just like
blow them
blasting
away.
Through.
And I wonder if that, like, thematically would, you know, such powerful dispelling magic must expend a considerable amount of mana. Like, I wonder if that would perpetuate the narrative of, oh, Aura's gonna be like, oh, I bet Frieren, like, anybody would be out of mana at this point, so of course I'd win if I put her up on the scales of obedience, and then Frieren just blows her out of the water.
It takes you to the fight that happens at the other half of the episode, which is the fact that Lugnar starts to think, well, maybe I can wait until a moment where Fern runs out of mana, but then he realizes that by the like he'll be dead or the fight will be over before that even happens.
Yeah.
So very interesting. Honestly, Frieren would be like the greatest goal that Aura could have in terms of like a body to become a puppet, because you were a puppet and then you wither and die. So now they're just suits and armors with the souls in them even. And Frieren as this elf that has lived forever would just, I think of that as like your greatest accomplishment in terms of addition to your army.
Yeah, true. I have a moment pulled up here that I really liked in terms of animation, and it was Stark putting his jacket on. It's so there. I have like 2 or 3 like similar instances this one episode.
There was a moment right before the putting the jacket. I don't know if you really noticed it, but it was the first moment I thought of it. It's like not even a minute before the priest walks back into the room, and it's just Stark turning towards him and then almost making room for him at the same time. So he's like spinning his arm, and then he kind of moves aside and then shifts. And there's something to the movement that I'm like, there's so many details here that are just... show that it's not just they're doing whatever simple possible, just move Stark out of the way.
Well, I guess in a typical, like, you don't have somebody coming into frame and making space so that it still follows, like, rule of thirds. Usually you just change the shot, right? So you can, like, have a shot of the door opening and then a shot, of repositioned shot of everybody else in the room. But there's character movement to make it steady, which there's a one shot later in the episode, which is great too. But first, Stark putting on this jacket is everything to me. I adore it. I love it's so good. It's so great.
How it ripples.
Like, and it's like, God, I'd love to see a behind the scenes of this, because you wonder how it seems like they're adding in frames or accelerating frames to give like blur and movement on the physics side of things. When you're pulling up a sleeve, that's when they choose to do it. I wonder if they used any like reference here, you know?
Reference footage.
Yeah, of someone like somebody actually throwing on a jacket. They have to have. Look at how fluid it is. Like how he flicks it and pulls it there. Oh my God, it's magical, dude. Oh.
That amount of love just to putting a jacket on. I love it.
Look at that. How many different...
Right.
Look at how much shadow
work. How many different frames
work.
did you do of just jacket?
Obviously 12, but within how many seconds, right? You're having 12 and multiply, but like, I don't know, man. It's phenomenal. There are a couple other instances I don't have timestamps for yet, but one of them that I had was walking animation.
Oh, was it Fern as she was walking toward Lugnar, and it was almost like a dance?
I believe so.
And she was like literally like her feet were like one foot in front of the other.
It was once she was pinned up and after he had his back towards her. I love this moment because you have like Fern's staff in the
staff flying
background
behind him.
And it's also, Fern as a character is really interesting because, like, visually I love how, like, deadpan she is, and I love her character design, but I love how they write her intelligence. Like, she's able to completely understand what Lugnar's doing, and in terms of, like, almost giving her a chance or an in here rather than just trying to kill her in one shot, so that
he's giving her an opportunity was the word.
And how and what that means, not just as being like observant, but this is the kind of person he is, you know. He's very like overtly proud and putting himself on that pedestal that these people mean nothing to him. Oh my god, I think this is when we get the walking animation. I could be wrong though.
It's very soon.
And having just the idea of a quick draw, and that being why...
The quick draw!
Because you fire off spells faster than I do. So it's like reaction time. It's something innate or you're born with.
Yeah. You have a faster reaction time than I do. Definitely.
Yeah?
If we were to, like, go into, like, a video game or something that would test that, you would definitely get a better score than I would.
Yeah, maybe. Gosh, I wish that we could have, like, the timestamps up on screen while we're watching the episode.
So that you could just write them down?
Yeah, like, while they're happening.
You'd have to forever have the bar up that, like, that has the timestamp. I don't know if you could you keep it up for the entirety of watching the episode?
I don't know.
But it might be distracting.
Maybe, like, the second that I'm like, okay, full length in 3, 2, 1, you start, like, a timer on your phone. And, like, have it in front of us.
And then we look at the timestamp on our phone.
Like, when it happens, when we're writing notes down.
That's not a bad idea.
Because I feel like it would definitely
It'd be so much easier for, like, recall, being able to talk about the exact things we want to talk about. You've made it to the walking scene, which is around, what, is it 1640?
Yeah, 1635 is when it starts, and it's just Fern walking towards
and just, like,
him.
She's not even looking at, like, up at him. She's just, like, walking, and then she looks up, and her feet just, it's like
so
this beautiful dance, and then she's up in the air in this ball, and then it's all so beautiful. The bang animation. Not only do we get so much great bang animation for Fern, but,
and not just in this moment either.
And not just in this moment.
This is a great one
shot. There was a shot in this episode of one side of Frieren's bangs getting blasted or getting, like, hit by a sword or swooped with a sword. And so the one half of the bangs just flicked up in a different direction. And I was like, oh.
One of my favorite instances of bang animation, as you put it, is right here with Fern. We get a close-up of her.
Oh, yes, as she's blasting.
And it's great because, like...
What timestamp is this?
1739. Like, every time that she, like, blasts and you see...
Different.
Yeah, like, her hair is moving in
different ways.
Oh, my God, it's so good. And like, they're for different durations as well.
Yes.
It's so good. Let's see.
It didn't have to be different every time.
Not at all.
I don't think we necessarily would have noticed if it was, but we obviously noticed that it was. Therefore, like, kudos. Great.
Dude, you wouldn't expect it from Stark necessarily about, like, how he's willing to get up and get up and get up, like how resilient he is even for his body type.
What they have as their pluses are so good and so they're things that humans can have. They're not like, here's a human with a crazy unhuman strength.
Yeah.
You know, in this world, obviously, there's magic and there's abilities. So, like, within this world, what humans are capable of, both of them have something that humans can have that is not, like, crazy. One has just this strong will to continue to get up.
Yeah. And
the other one has just a really great reaction time.
Uh-huh.
And I love that their bonuses, their pluses, their, what is it, like, boons and banes, they just have these they're simple in actuality. Like, oh, this person just will get up, and then this person's just pretty fast. But it's not like they're, like, superpowers.
What'd you think of Aura bringing up Himmel? I thought that was really interesting.
In terms of the fact that Frieren wasn't blasting all of the suits of armor.
Like, that he's not around anymore. Like,
and she was like, that's what she needed to be able to, no mercy, kill Aura. Because she was like, that is such a thing that someone would say when they have no concept of, like, actual love and feelings.
Yeah,
God. And no actual tie to any ounce of humanity.
I think one of my favorite magic animations is everyone, but especially this moment of Frieren in this episode using the magic to dispel the others. It, like, encapsulates her entire staff, but then the lighting on her face is extraordinary. Oh my god, it's so cool.
The demons in this episode learned that killing a guard is a bad thing. And that the punishment is execution. I just realized, like, demons, Linny is a great example. Her technique and her fighting is a great example of, like, demons as a whole. Mm-hmm. That they are just imitators. That is what they are. Like, she's imitating fighting techniques, but demons as a group and as a racer are imitators.
And what that does, though, is that the demon's knowledge and perception of what other people's strengths would be is completely based off of their recollection or imitation of previous people.
Right, so, like, of course they would be doubting, or that they would view someone as, you know, a certain strength level. It's not because they have a gauge within them where they can look at someone and be like, that person's super strong. It's probably all based on their own seen or observed or heard about experience.
I've seen this small person with an axe kill everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna do it, therefore, the exact way he did it, therefore I can kill everybody. Right. But what that doesn't leave is innovation. Mm-hmm. Like demons can't innovate.
The only reason that Lugnar is wary of Frieren is because of how Frieren is looking at Lugnar in the first scene when they meet. It is only the observation he has of her glare at him and her unwavering look of disdain toward him that is why she has piqued his interest.
I wonder, I'm a little worried about, like, when Graf brought up, like, the fatal flaw and there being people whose will, like, goes so far as to give them a chance at, like, you know, fighting mm-hmm. back. I don't want that to like, I kind of hope that Stark and Fern are like, okay, you guys did great, rest up here, don't be used against Frieren, you know?
Right.
I'm a little worried about that. And also, just the idea of the scales of obedience, do you, like, I believe the line was, I'm going to paraphrase here, but it was something that surpassed, like, human understanding and capabilities.
It brings up that idea that it's because of Frieren, which, great to bring up. She is an elf. She's not human, therefore, and we know that she was the one that contributed the most to humanity's understanding of Zoltrak and killing magic. And if we're still we're obviously using human for a reason. And if we're like, it goes past humanity's understanding, well, we're fighting an elf, and in the future, an elf might be able to help humanity conquer whatever Aura brings to the table here.
But it's not just the magic, right, that I'm trying to get into. It's like, specifically when he brought it up, it was in regards to Aura's ability, and like when I compared it to something like out of Hunter x Hunter, like, think about it within that, like, that proficiency. Like, it's one thing to be able to use magic, it's one thing to be able to learn spells, but to be able to have, like, it's almost like a relic, or be able to have this, like, contract, or, like, this one specific thing that garners an ability. I wonder if all of the Sages of Destruction have their own, and how that was created or, like, culminated. Like, it almost makes me feel like this is, like, an ancient, old, like, I don't know, like, reminds me of, like, Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, like, these, like, objects that, or, like, techniques that are passed down that are, like, crazy enhanced spells refined
we already
to its
know
heightened
that
degree, you know?
As that's how the demons that's how they use magic, is they pick one thing and then they spend forever getting better and better and mastering that to the point where that their one weapon is terrifying. But then again, they only have one weapon. And so when we met Qual all that time ago, what we see is he created this one weapon, this mastered technique of killing that was just wiping everyone out. And then once you figure out the weakness or understand that was his only thing.
Yeah.
That was the only thing in his arsenal.
You know, it'd be
It's risky.
You know, it'd be terrifying. Like, I don't think that they do it just because of how much confidence I have in Frieren. But like, if Frieren was the enemy, like if she was under control of Aura, or not just Aura, anyone. If we, like, Fern and Stark had to like try to defend and protect against like a brainwashed Frieren, that would be terrifying. I would be shaken. And
on the same, like, opposite sides, if Frieren had to deal with a Stark and a Fern who were being controlled as puppets, they could get hurt, maybe not even from Frieren's hand, but what if they were being controlled and then sent off to do things with their body that they don't want to do within the town to the townsfolk? Guards have to fight them. Anything, any amount of destruction that could be caused by their bodies. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen, but it opens up this conversation of how a character would deal with the aftermath of knowing that their body that they had done things that they would never have done if they had control over themselves, and they have to hold that weight.
Yeah.
And that burden.
You think that after the fight, like, if you could bring Lugnar back from the dead, he would say that Fern is a genius? Or
didn't he already? When she left, when he saw her with the moon, I'm pretty sure, like, when they first met in last episode, when she showed up with the moon, I think that's when he first brought up, like,
the idea of geniuses, but I thought that was just to reference Frieren.
I feel like he said it about her. Or at least, is she one? I questioned it. But
the only reason I would say, like, I would disagree with that is because, like, if he considered Fern a genius,
he wouldn't be not looking at her.
Or, like, not going for the insta-kill there. Like, I think how Fern described him put himself, like, way above her.
Right.
You know? You can't do anything against me.
His gauge of if someone's a threat is whether they look at him as a beast or if they look at him as a human like he looks.
God. I'm gonna miss Lenny. I'm sure that there awaits other demons or other characters with crazy cool abilities and choreography.
Especially if we're only fighting one of the, like, sages of destruction right now. There's probably more that we will be meeting, and they probably have their own executioners.
I just love the animation of her. She's so fun to watch. And again, I think my favorite moment of the animation is what yours was, the spear. I think her descent on it was so, like, it's so extra. It's so, like, it's beautiful. I love it. Because it not only, like, is, like, a little show-offy of, like, oh, this is my ability and fluid, like, how fluid I can be in choreography. It's offering practical use of giving her weapon back and then having momentum to do a next attack.
Yes, it's the movement from one action to the next of her throwing it down in the ground, getting back into contact with it from her descent, and as she grabs a hold of it, she turns it into a dagger and throws it. And there's the movement and momentum there is really nice.
It reminds me of the Maki fight in Jujutsu Kaisen in season 1 on the water. And I don't want to say anything more because of spoiler kind of thing, but with who she's fighting and, like, the way that she's utilizing her weapons, it reminded me a little bit of that, which is one of the standout moments of that season for me. God, I love the show. I love it.
I do too. I'm so bummed that this episode ended. I didn't want it to end.
Ended on a great place.
It did. What was the name of this episode?
I'm not sure.
I feel like they told us at the beginning, and I feel like it was Aura the Guillotine.
Oh, yeah, I think it was.
And last episode was, like, Frieren the Slayer.
Uh-huh.
And so that really makes your expectations be that this whole episode is going to be mainly focused on, you know, the opposition to Frieren, which is Aura right now.
Yeah.
So it really comes as a surprise that it's almost, I would say, majority of the time in the episode was Fern and Stark.
Yeah, episode 9, Aura the Guillotine.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it was more of like an introduction to what her ability is and what her power is. So
True.
Which I'm really glad about. Because,
Fern and Stark.
like, if we're in a situation where we have 3 characters and one of them we'd assume to be the most powerful being Frieren, on the opposition we have 3 characters, one of them being the most powerful Aura, we would want to get the fight between Fern and Stark happening first, you know?
Right, of course.
And we wouldn't want to have to be given the exposition of what Aura's power is during the same episode of a fight with her.
That's fair. Also, did it come as a surprise in terms of like pacing of the episode? Because that brings it into the conversation. What was it surprising to you after we're like having all this time with what's happening with Fern and Lugnar to then find what has happened with Stark in his fight and see him slammed up against like a tree or a rock?
I was surprised.
I was definitely
but
like,
I think
whoa! I forgot that during that time period that Fern and Lugnar were talking and even just starting their fight, that there was another fight going on simultaneously. It's like I completely forgot about it for a second and time must have stopped.
You know why it's great though? It's the same kind of like idea of bringing back, they bring back and complete points. We've said this before even already in the series, but they bring back points introduced early on in the episode to finish them by the end of the episode. Like in this episode, the idea of human magic versus demon magic. For me, what that showing was of seeing Stark already on the ground was a breadcrumb to be fulfilled by the end of the episode, how he's going to be knocked on the ground but get back up. And it just makes that little fight so much better.
I love when things are connected. I love when it feels like something has been written and the person that wrote it concocted the story and the narrative just completely laces everything together. It's like all perfectly entwined, even if you don't notice it or realize it yet. Everything's so connected and something leads into another thing thematically, any narrative, visual, anything, music, that we're just, even if it's subtle, even if it's in your face, that things are just kind of winding together and perfectly fitting. I love that.
Lightning strike. God. Never thought I'd like a character who not only has an axe, but is red. It never happens.
You never put those two things together.
And have me loving it as much as I do.
Fair.
Taking
an axe, though.
I legitimately thought that, like, when we recognized that there was blood on our cloaks or on Stark, like, yeah, we need to get rid of them. I'm glad that we did, but I was like, oh, man. I wonder if there's, like, a specific spell to get blood off of clothing or to get, like, liquid off of clothing or, you know. So cool. All right, that's all I have you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we hope to see you next time.